What's up everyone, Clark Glassford, founder of My Practice Interview, where I help you land your dream job. And today we're talking about a question that always gets asked in interviews, and I always see applicants struggle, squirm in their seat, not know how to answer, and it is, what are your salary expectations? Oh gosh, I don't want to answer this. What if I answer it the wrong way? What if I set my expectations too high? What if they don't have any interest in me anymore because I've set my expectations too high for my salary? How on earth do I answer this in the tricky part of the interview dance that we all go through? Well, I have 4 tips on how you prepare to answer this question, and then 4 sample scripts that you can use, copy, and use to prepare for when this question gets asked, because I can guarantee you, no matter what interview process you're going through, whether it's the front end of that process or the back end of that process, you are going to be asked what your salary expectations are. So being prepared is absolutely key. But you know what? We got to get going here. Are you ready? I am. Here we go. So today we're talking about how you answer that question, what are your salary expectations? I want to get going right off the bat here with 4 prep tips. Super important here that you follow these so that you know how you can set the stage to answer this question. So tip number 1, research market rates. Very simple in this day and age to figure out what market rates are. You can look at glassdoor.com, salary.com, LinkedIn. You can ask ChatGPT about what salary ranges are for your particular field of work within that particular industry that you're applying for to get a range. That gives you now a sense as to, okay, in the huge range of salaries within this industry and with similar type jobs, here's what that range is. So at least you know. Now, of course, a lot of jobs also have those salaries posted on those job postings. So you may already see a range. So it's good for you to know that. So whether it's the company website, some of those other salary sites I talked about, or using ChatGPT, that's how you start your research. That's how you know what your range is and what you can start to work off of. So that's tip number 1. Tip number 2, know your worth. So really important there, now that you understand the range, what's your worth within that range? Are you brand new to that industry, brand new to that profession or level within that profession? Maybe you're gonna be on the lower end of that range. Or maybe you've been in that and you have that profession and you have some years of experience, you have some special qualifications, some skills behind you, some certifications that they're perhaps looking for that make you really unique. So understand what that is and where that may place you on that particular salary range that you're looking at. It's really important for you to be realistic with, am I at the front end of the salary range within the band that I'm looking at? Or do I bring some experience, some skills, some certifications to the table that may add a higher value to me? So do that analysis about yourself so that you're very clear as to what your worth is based within that industry and type of role that you've applied for. Tip number 3, consider total compensation. This is something that I see applicants really miss out on here. They get so fixated on the money that they don't think about what that total compensation package is. So for you, it's important that you understand, yeah, I want to be within a range and I need to understand what that range is, but also what other value, perks that are being added as part of the total compensation that employer may be offering you. So things like additional benefits, pensions, bonuses, vacation time, and perks. Those are all things that may outweigh a little bit higher salary because perhaps instead of getting 3 weeks vacation, you're now getting 4 or 5 weeks vacation. Perhaps instead of getting on the high end of that salary scale, you're taking more of that mid-range, but there's a bonus every year that will make up the difference. So really important that you think about some of those things, and through your research, you may come across, and especially on job postings, they do talk about specifically some of those areas, the perks, the benefits, the total compensation that they offer. So when you get to that interview, those are some of those things that you want to explore. Tip number 4 here is set a realistic range. So what do I mean by that? The range you want to set for yourself is a range where If you say on the low end of that range, that's something that you're willing to settle for. So you don't want to say a low end and then come back and say, well, here, we're going to offer you this. And you think to yourself, well, I can't afford to live on that low end of the range. So don't suggest a range that you're not willing to accept on the low end. And then on your high end of that range, yeah, it's a bit ambitious. And if you got it, you're going to give yourself a big thumbs up as well. So you want to set a low end that you're willing to accept to a high end that you're going to be really happy with if you get it, but not a high end where it's way out of range. It's not even realistic within that market. It's not realistic within the research you've done here. You don't want an employer to say, look, the expectations are too high with this applicant. We're going to look at somebody else. So really be mindful in setting a range that's going to work for you and your specific needs. So I did say I have 4 scripts. I'm going to go over those 4 scripts in the various scenarios that you could be faced within your interview and how you go about answering the salary expectation question. So, how do you answer those salary expectation question? What is your salary expectation? That question's going to get asked. Well, at the beginning, you may want to deflect if it's early in the process, and here's what you say. I'm open to discussing a salary that reflects my skills and experience. Could you share the budgeted range for this role? Easy way to deflect. If you don't know what the range is and what that employer is offering, then you can turn their question around with a question in response to theirs and see if they'll give you that salary range to see if it meets the expectations that you're looking for. Next, provide a range if pressed for a number. So that's really important here. You want to be able to provide a range. If they come back and say, look, what are your expectations? We like to hear what you're expecting for this role. Then here's how you answer that. Based on my research and experience, I expect a salary between X dollars and Y dollars. I'm open to discussing the full compensation package. So there you've given the range that you're expecting. That low end we talked about that you're going to be happy with to that high end that you'd be really happy with. Next, show your flexibility. So this is where you want to add a piece in there to show that you're flexible. While the salary is important, I'm more focused on the role, team, and growth opportunities. I'd love to understand the full package. That's now putting it back on them for them to explain to you what those additional benefits are, what some of the perks of the role may be, vacation, bonuses, pensions, things like that. Super key for you to understand because that's part of that total package. That makes you look professional. That makes you look open to negotiate that full total compensation package, which is absolutely key here. And the last piece here is be confident in your worth. This is where you need to deliver with confidence. And here's what you say. Given my expertise in, and you can name some key skills here, and success in, and you can name some achievements from your past experience, I believe a salary in the range of X dollars to Y dollars is fair. That is now demonstrating to them to think about, okay, based on your skills, your experiences, you are worth X amount of dollars because you've done your research and you're bringing massive value to the role. So I've just given you now 4 ways to answer that question. Now, as you can see, it's a fluid conversation that you're having with that interviewer. So you can combine those answers that I've given you into one fulsome response so that you come across sounding very professional, very confident, and willing to negotiate. And of course, my final tip here, as it always is, I want you to practice this before you go into your interview. You do not want to be going into your interview, stumbling through an answer like this and feeling flustered and confused in your response. You want to portray confidence. You want to portray that, strong negotiation skills, but professional and open to negotiate. So important that you keep that dialogue going because this is the job that you may land that will be perfect for the next step in your career. That's it for this week. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Remember, like, subscribe, tell your friends about me. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Take care.